Hi, Craig.
Hey, Craig.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
No, you're good. My volume, I need to turn it down.
Why is he
Why does
screaming?
he keep doing that? I think Isaiah's having a rough day.
I'm having a rough day.
Hello, cinephiles, and welcome to Silver Screen Sips, a podcast where three idiots talk about movies. And today, we will introduce you to a classic of horror, the Halloween franchise. I don't have a joke today.
I'm going to stop it there before we get copyright issues.
Yeah, the amount of time I've heard that song in the past week is
my God. I have... Oh, wait until we talk about this movie because I've got some notes.
Okay, so one thing I do want to start with, though, who do I contact so I can get like badass fucking background music to play whenever I do anything? Whenever I drive somewhere, whenever I breathe in the fucking room.
I say we get a Fiverr guy.
Yeah?
Yeah. We just hire him for like $5 to make you a theme song.
Just play the fucking Michael Myers song while I walk around. As we always have to remind you, there are spoilers ahead for movies and TV shows that you may have not seen yet, although I feel like this one would be pretty prominent in most people's memories.
I don't know. This is the first time I've seen it.
Well, I know, but I'm saying for like my age group.
Yeah, you fucking old people.
I'm only 28, guys. So just know that you've been warned. But we also did want to start off with a very exciting announcement. We are introducing our sponsor, Shaker and Spoon.
Ooh.
Little round of applause.
Little round of applause, little golf clap. This episode is brought to you by Shaker and Spoon. Shaker and Spoon is a monthly subscription service that will teach you to mix up bar-quality cocktails from recipes designed by award-winning mixologists, all while exposing you to new flavors and combinations and demonstrating a range of what each spirit can do. Stuff that I would like to do, but I'm not an award-winning mixologist, so don't pay attention to me. We have the Mescaloween 2 box, also known as the Agave's Revenge, heading our way, and we cannot wait to review it. If you'd like your own box from Shaker and Spoon, you can head over to shakerandspoon.com and use the promo code SIPS10, that's SIPS 10, to get $10 off your first subscription box. Again, that's promo code SIPS10 to get $10 off.
Get the sippin' boys.
Get the sippin' boys.
Hey,
but now,
I like that.
Now we bring you everybody's fragment. Oh my God.
Fragment?
I went to say
I think he got into the subscription box a little soon.
Everyone's favorite segment. This week
in Hollywood.
Oh wow, a new theme song.
Yeah. Got it off Fiverr.
Starting us off, Avatar has become the first film ever to pass $2.9 billion at the global box office, after being re-released in theaters and not showing some weird hair sex scene. To hype fans up for the sequel premiering in December, the film has made history. Avatar is fourth ranked in total domestic sales, falling behind Spider-Man No Way Home,
Fair.
Chef's Kiss, Avengers Endgame,
Also fair.
also Chef's Kiss, and Star Wars The Force Awakens.
Disgusting.
However, it is clear that this film has made its mark globally as being the first movie in history to reach such high global sale. Congratulations, Avatar.
Thanks, James Cameron.
Hats off to you.
Hats off to James Cameron. And now, here's Beth with the weather.
Thank you, Lewis. Now that it's officially the Halloween season, HBO Max has added several Halloween classics so viewers can get into the spooky spirit. The lineup includes classics like The Exorcist, The Shining, Young Frankenstein, The Fly from 1986, Beetlejuice, A Nightmare on Elm Street, A Nightmare on Elm Street, and The Conjuring. However, if you're more into the modern classics, HBO has also added Dr. Sleep, Robert Eggers' The Witch. Huh?
You said HBO.
HBO. Listen. However, if you're more into the modern classics, HBO has also added Dr. Sleep, Robert Eggers' The Witch, The Blair Witch Project, and Malignant. Subscribers will also be able to watch all of the Nightmare on Elm Street films, except The Dream Master, The Conjuring series, Final Destination, and the Omen films will also be on there. Let us know what your favorite movie to watch for Halloween is by messaging us on Instagram, or you can shoot us an email at silverscreensips@gmail.com. Go, Isaiah.
Speaking of scary, spooky, the new horror movie Smile is leading in the box office with $22 million opening. It beat out Universal's romantic comedy Bros, which fizzled out only a $4.8 million opening on the same week. Yeah. Anyway, Smile has ranked as one of the better horror films of the year, as it greatly surpassed films such as Barbarian and The Invitation in the box office.
Moving on from our sports with Isaiah, it's back to me. Are you ready for a dance adaptation of The Matrix? Because I'm definitely not, and I don't know why the fuck it exists. Director Danny Boyle has decided to take on the challenge of creating a hip-hop stage adaptation inspired by the beloved franchise. I'm really, really concerned. The show has been officially titled Free Your Mind. Wow. And is stated to take audiences on a thrilling journey through The Matrix and into a new realm of possibilities. The show is set to open in October of 2023.
I really just want to go just to see the acid trip that is whatever this is going to be.
All I can imagine is like the really cheesy like musicals that you see. They're like, come on, everybody, let's go stop blah blah blah. It's just like that, but it's The Matrix, and it's just Keanu Reeves.
Let's go stop like, Matrix Smith.
Yeah.
I really want it to blow us away at being like this Hamilton level production. Now back to Beth with more weather.
Oh yes, me. I'm sure almost everyone knows this, but Deadpool 3 has officially confirmed that Hugh Jackman will be returning as Wolverine/Logan and will be featured in the movie. You might be asking, what? I thought Wolverine was dead. Well, according to Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman themselves, Deadpool 3 is entirely separate from the film Logan. This news has made fans go wild for more details, which have still yet to be announced. We will keep you posted with further information as we get closer to the premiere, which isn't set till late 2024.
And now back to Isaiah with sports.
Hi, it's me again. Lastly, Bill Skarsgård and Lily Rose Depp are starring in Robert Eggers' film Nosferatu. The film The film is a gothic tale of obsession between a haunted young woman, Depp, and in 19th century Germany and the ancient Transylvanian vampire, Skarsgård, who stalks her, bringing untold horror with him. The film also reunites Egger with the production company Focus Features, though we're hoping he'll have a smoother time than he did with The Northman, both in production and upon release, because if you didn't know, they're a bit of a rocky relationship. I think it had to do that he really wanted there to be more dicks, and he didn't get that.
That concludes This Week in Hollywood.
This week in Hollywood. Everyone, just say it at the same time. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. And that concludes This Week in Hollywood.
Lou didn't even try it.
That was so bad. Try again. Lewis, you can do this. Come on. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. And that concludes This Week in Hollywood. I hate that so much.
Sure I do.
And just like that, we lost our sponsor. Okay, so and just like that, Lewis is starting his segment. Big Lou's Big Brews.
And now it's everyone's real favorite segment, Big Lou's Big Brews. Today, in the spirit of both Halloween the holiday and Halloween the movie, we're going to bring you the Michael Myers cocktail.
Ooh.
This Michael Myers Halloween cocktail is brought to you from our everydayshortcuts.com, and this article was written by food and lifestyle blogger Allison McFadden. You go, Allison.
Allison, my girl.
Apparently she lived out in Ohio. Good for her.
I almost moved there.
You were almost friends.
Mm-hmm.
She mentions here that she can't believe this is going to be the end of a saga between Michael Myers and Laurie Strode on October 14th. It all started back in 1978, which was then directed by John Carpenter. And now here we are with a still popular Halloween movie in 2022. In honor of the spooky holiday and the new movie Halloween Ends, we've created a fun and easy recipe for a Michael Myers-inspired cocktail. It's perfect for the Halloween season. What you're going to need, and this is probably the strangest thing I've ever heard of mixed, but we're going to have orange juice.
Okay.
Orange soda.
Okay.
Silver rum is our third ingredient.
Okay.
So,
any reason why those 3 ingredients?
Well, you'll see the color and everything in just a moment.
Is it
But
because it's like the Halloween title? Is those colors?
it's the Halloween theme, the
Yeah.
black and orange. You know.
Okay, that's fair.
She chose to add a black sparkle gel along the rim of the glass for a garnish.
Ooh.
You're going to add your ice to a tall glass, which is, of course, the glass that you've rimmed.
I'll show you rimmed. Sorry.
Wow.
I'm so sorry.
Wow. Wow.
Just like that, we lost our sponsor.
We can't do this anymore. We can't do this anymore.
I'm going to start from the top. Okay, so Allison's photos and recipe here suggest that we take a tall, usually pint glass, you add a black sparkle gel along the rim of the glass for garnish. You're going to add your ice to our glass. You're going to add 1 ounce of silver rum. My suggestion, according to Allison's article here, is Calypso, but you can use any kind of silver rum. Then you're going to add your orange juice and orange soda and stir it together. If you really want to make it cute and Halloween-like, you can have a little pumpkin-topped black and white straw and use it to stir your drink, and you can eat your little candy pumpkin as you sip your drink.
Cute.
And yeah, that's what I have for you today. This is a very simple drink.
I like simple.
I'm gonna share the image in just a moment. But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think Allison knocked it out of the park?
What does sparkle gel taste like exactly?
Probably just sugar.
I don't know why that made me lose it. I just was not expecting that to be a question in this discussion at all.
What does sparkle gel taste like? You know,
I'm not even sure you're actually supposed to, eat the sparkle gel. I think it's just there for garnish, as you see in the photo.
But
and
it's
you
like,
can see
let me see this photo. But it's on the glass.
Yeah, it's on the rim of the glass.
How do you avoid it if your mouth has to touch the rim?
Well, see, there's a part of the rim that's not covered in sparkle gel, and
there's also a straw.
I like orange soda. I like, actually.
He also likes rum.
I also like rum. So this might be like a 4.5 out of 5 for me. I like this.
Wow. Allison, you hit it out of the park. Isaiah gave it a 4.5.
Let's go.
What about you, Lewis?
I also love orange soda. It's been a long time since I've had any. If I was gonna be like bartending for like a fan, like my mom was having some kind of event and she was gonna have like all the parents from whatever school or education related thing she does, like at a mixer or something like that, I could make a few of these for the Halloween theme and just like make it cute and whatever, and like maybe I could make like the non-alcoholic version of this for like kids. They could just have some orange soda and orange juice or whatever.
Oh, true. With the fucking chocolate gel stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And
make it all cute. Michael Myers goes out and murders a few people. We got to make his drink a little cute,
Jesus Christ.
So what do you rate it?
I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5.
Okay. All right.
Great mid.
I think I'm going to give it that as well. Maybe a 3.5 because it sounds interesting. I don't think orange juice and orange soda to me is a weird combo, but I'm kind of curious. So fuck it, we ball.
We're going to jump right into Beth's question of the day.
Hello. Thank you for joining me for Beth's question of the day. How are you doing?
I am wonderful.
Doing terrible.
Now, my question is, out of all of the, classic slasher films, which killer scares you the most? Now, I wrote down some ideas in case you forget any of them or in case, I don't know, you can't think of a single one. But if you come up with another one, go for it. You got like Michael Myers, obviously, Freddy Krueger, Chucky, Jason, and Leatherface are the ones I wrote down. So,
Isaiah, you want to go first?
Well,
who do you like? If you came face to face with one of these killers, which one would make you pee your pants?
All of them. What the hell?
Well, okay, but like, which one would make you pee the most?
Okay. I'm glad you made a distinction.
Yeah.
I don't know, to be honest with you, because like all of them are insane killers and would probably freak me out. But I would say all of them are kind of they're like mythical. Like Chucky, he's a talking doll, right? Okay. Candyman, he's like a ghost or something, right?
Something like that.
Yeah. So like the closest I'd probably do is either Leatherface or Ghostface from Scream.
Oh, true.
Because both of them are they're both like, well, Leatherface is based off a real person, so that means that actually like bit of that actually happened. So that's kind of scary because that means you actually could have met face to face with that. And Ghostface, like the two killers that play Ghostface, is kind of based in reality of, oh yeah, two people losing their minds and going in wacko. Like the entire franchise, there's like these two people who just lose their minds. That's kind of based in reality. So I would say at least that would be a tie between those two. Would be the ones I would be like, well, I'm screwed.
That's fair.
But if I had to choose one, I'd say Leatherface since he was an actual serial killer.
I would agree with you. I was going to say Leatherface as well. Not only because he's based off of like a true story or inspired from a true story, but also he's just the creepiest looking one, especially the old Leatherface. Like there's a black and white photo. If you Google Leatherface and look at Google Images, there's a specific black and white photo that just gives me chills.
Is it this one?
Yeah, that one freaks me out.
All right. So to mention, not only we also got to remember Leatherface wasn't the only one based on a true life serial killer. Ghostface from Scream was based on a guy who murdered a bunch of nurses in Gainesville.
Oh yeah, Gainesville, Florida. I forgot about that guy.
To answer the question, on my perspective of who's the most chilling of the serial killers, or the one that I would want to least deal with. Personally, I would actually put it between Jigsaw and
that's true.
And Freddy Krueger.
Jigsaw I can see because of how now when you say Jigsaw, do you mean the actual guy or do you mean the puppet?
No, I mean the guy putting me in a trap and preparing me to die.
That's fair. That is fair.
Jigsaw for the intricacy of his plans and the way and the gruesome ways he could put me either I'm going to be maimed or I'm going to die.
Mm-hmm.
And Freddy Krueger, I think tops some of these people in the sense that he could invade your fucking dreams.
That's just a nightmare.
But you can die.
Okay. See, I've never seen Freddy Krueger.
Oh no. Krueger exists in a lot of different instances. I think the most recent one, he is in both the dream world and the real world. But what he does throughout all of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, there's a song that's been that most people remember if they saw Nightmare on Elm Street as kids. And then one of the movies I'm pretty sure was a bunch of these kids he can't kill us if we stay awake, so they're trying everything they can to stay awake, and it's fucking horrifying for them, and one of them falls asleep.
Interesting.
It was also interesting to just see people I think there's this one scene from one of the movies that I don't remember which one in particular, but this girl is she falls asleep in bed. Freddy comes in her dream, and in the real world she floats up into the air, and then she just starts getting fucking slash marks all over her body as he rips her to shreds.
This sounds like some Exorcist shit.
Have you never seen Nightmare on Elm Street?
No, I haven't seen a single slasher movie until this previous week. Never seen Jason. Never seen Texas Chainsaw.
I've seen Jason.
Was it good?
He's among the creepiest of them, and also
he's got the most a fucked up story too. He's got mommy issues, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got serious mommy issues.
Mm.
I think we've answered your question. We're gonna go on to Isaiah's fact.
You literally just listed out a bunch of different slashers, and
he answered.
Yeah, I said Jigsaw and Freddy Krueger. I put two.
No, you gotta narrow it down. You need one.
You gotta pick one.
Gotta pick
one.
Which
Freddy
one
Krueger.
makes you pee the most?
Freddy Krueger, because I have trouble sleeping as it is. So if this motherfucker gonna make me stay up,
yeah, great. Can't sleep some more.
I know. Anyways, that's my question of the day, Isaiah.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us your facts of the day?
It's time for some facts.
I really hope that goes well with your little segment intro song.
What? It's time for
the way
some
you sang it.
So, just a side thing. Every time I do these facts, I try to keep them in order of production. So, I like to start off with the facts that are when they're in pre-production or when they're coming up with the idea, then when they're filming, and then the post things that happen afterwards.
Yeah.
So, get down to it. Now, we have executive producer Erwin Yablans. He wanted to make a horror concept surrounding babysitters and thought there's no way the name Halloween hasn't been used in a movie already. And then they were doing some research and they found out that not only had the name Halloween not been used, It hadn't been used in the film business in any title ever up until that point, at least that they could find.
Huh. I did not know that.
So it wasn't part like, like ooh, like My Dear Halloween, or like, like a title has the word Halloween in it. That didn't exist, and no movie franchise or movie had the name just straight up Halloween until this point.
Interesting.
So he was like, oh hell yeah, this is exactly what I want to do.
That's perfect.
John Carpenter wanted Peter Cushing to play Dr. Loomis.
Why?
Okay, so they needed so they had all their actors, right? Because you got to think about it in 1970s standards. This movie was on a shoestring budget. They didn't have a lot of money. They were just basically a ragtag indie thing going on here, and they needed a big name to bring in people to watch, like so that people recognize the movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
that's like Star Wars.
Yeah, so they saved $20,000 to pay a big name actor that they could find to put into the movie. And so the Dr. Loomis's character was kind of the character that they were going for as the big main character that they would get the big actor for.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why he wanted, and the big actor that John Carpenter originally wanted was Peter Cushing.
I mean, I could kind of see
but his agent had called him and turned it down.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that, but I could have seen him. But I think who is the actor that actually played as him? Donald Pleasance. I think he did really well.
He did do really good. But he was a pretty big actor at that point.
He's big boy.
Donald Pleasance. Yes, he was a very big actor at the time, and so they wanted him to play it. Well, he's the one who ended up getting the role. But yeah, John Carpenter's originally wanted Peter Cushing. His agent turned it down. So the next person they asked was Christopher Lee.
Oh,
yeah, good old Count Dooku.
That would have been interesting.
And however, he also turned it down. And later on, years later, he had met co-writer Deborah Hill and John Carpenter at a party, and he told them that turning it down was one of the biggest mistakes of his career.
Wow.
So Psycho was a major influence for the movie, which made John Carpenter want to cast his own female blonde character to play the main role of the movie. Which, went to Jamie Lee Curtis, who just so happened to be Janet Leigh's daughter, the actress from Psycho.
Oh. Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that she was the daughter.
It just so happened to be a coincidence. Not a coincidence. I guess it was a coincidence because he was like looking at main actresses, and he was like, and then it came along. They're like, oh, here we have Jamie Lee Curtis, and he goes, huh? And they was like, oh yeah, it's the daughter of Janet Leigh. And like, oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
Now this movie only had a budget of $320,000.
Jeez.
Yep. And only had 21 days of shooting. So they were speedrunning this.
Oh my God. For those who are not in touch with the film industry, that is so little money and so little time.
So little money. And even for them, that was a lot of money for them though, because that's a big budget, given an indie project, but also that's a tiny bit of money for like Hollywood films. So
yeah.
And now the name Michael Myers was an in-joke between the writers Deborah Hill and John Carpenter, but the name was a tribute to the distributor in his previous film, Assault on Precinct 13. So the guy who distributed the movie in London, his name was Michael Myers, and he wanted to pay a tribute to him because he helped get the movie off the ground. And so he wanted to have like
So he named a serial killer after him.
Yes.
Okay.
His idea was to give him like this mythic, legendary status, and like I guess it worked too.
I mean, he succeeded. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I want that
to be mythic or be known as a serial killer.
I don't want to be known as a serial killer, but I want someone to name something after me.
Name a drink.
That would be fucking dope.
Bet.
That would be Big Lou.
Lou, name a drink after.
I'll figure it out. But anyway.
So Michael Myers' mask, as we're gonna get to the famous fact everybody knows, but Michael Myers' mask is actually just a damaged and spray painted white version of a Star Trek Captain Kirk mask.
What?
Everybody knows.
I did not know that.
I did not know that.
So Captain Kirk's mask is it's a Halloween mask from Captain Kirk. It's basically William Shatner, but it is just the hair is frayed, the sideburns are ripped off, and it was spray painted white.
What? I did not know that.
That's crazy.
That's so. I'm not going to be able to see it the same now.
So the other mask that they had, because obviously the budget wasn't big, it was like $2 to get the mask. The other mask they had was a Spock mask, President Richard Nixon, and Weary Willie the Clown.
I don't know what that is.
Basically, if you ever seen like a really old creepy clown mask, the one with like the big nose and the puffy cheeks and it's bald, that's
okay. See, the clown would have made sense because in the beginning of the movie, he's wearing a clown costume.
Yeah, and I would have also enjoyed what do you call it? I would have enjoyed the Nixon mask. That would have been funny.
Now, the script stated that it wanted a pale, neutral. The face was supposed to be pale and neutral features of a man weirdly distorted by rubber, which is exactly what it was. Like the Captain Kirk mask didn't have, it had features, but it wasn't enough to distinguish what it was of like a human. It was just enough to say that it's a man, but it's all obviously because the rubber distorted. So it ended up just working out perfectly that the mask that he had written in the script just so happened to be that mask. The movie was filmed in March in California, with the setting being in Illinois, meaning they had to fake the Midwestern cold. So they had a bag of fake leaves. They had 3 trash bags of fake leaves that they painted brown, and they would scatter across the lawns and stuff during shooting, and then they would rake it all up, put them back in the bags, and use them in the next shot.
Honestly, I would have never known.
Now you can notice too, because there's a few shots where like there's palm trees in the background, so you notice that there's no way this happened in Illinois. But they're like, well, John Carpenter was like, well, what can you do? So the movie, the lines Loomis tells the cop about meeting Myers are actually what Carpenter felt when he visited a Kentucky mental asylum and he met a 13-year-old patient.
Which line specifically are you
The one with the devil in his eyes?
His eyes were black and there was nothing behind it except for pure evil. And that's what. So Carpenter visited a Kentucky mental asylum, met a patient who was only 13 years old, saw that, wrote those lines down, and then gave it to Pleasance and said, "This is what I felt. Here, read it."
Jeez,
that's crazy.
So the movie they're watching in the movie, like when all the kids are sitting around and stuff like that, is called, if you notice, it says The Thing. Another famous movie is John Carpenter's The Thing that came out in 1982. Now, the version of the movie they're watching there is actually the 1951 version of The Thing from Another World, which is based off a book. It was John Carpenter's one of his favorite movies, and so he would then later on remake the movie in 1982, which is considered like one of the ultimate sci-fi classics of all time. Which is, if you haven't seen The Thing, go watch The Thing. It's freaking phenomenal.
On my list.
Now, the Myers house was actually an abandoned house, so like it was just straight up. They just found a random abandoned house. So it was falling apart, and so to create the opening scene, it was actually they shot it at the very end of their shoot. And they fixed up the house, made it look all nice and stuff like that. And then they had the camera go through it and only look at the very specific things that they had fixed up. Otherwise, if the camera looked anywhere else, they would have noticed like broken down house.
Huh. They did well.
Now, John Carpenter wrote the score in only 3 days. He showcased a movie to an executive at Fox, and the executive said that the movie isn't scary because there was no music. Like it was just dead silent the whole movie. And so she was looking at it, she's like, this is boring. It's not scary at all. So John Carpenter took it back. He made the score in 3 days, brought it back to her, and she said, now this is terrifying.
Just because of dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. Just because of the score in general. Because if there is a documentary out there, I believe it's called Halloween Cut Above the Rest. It actually showcases some of the scenes without music. And it is really weird. It just doesn't seem right.
I mean, any movie is weird without music. I think, what was it? When Daniel Day-Lewis played Lincoln, I thought wasn't that movie like had like no score or something?
Well, there's some movies that work without a score. Because,
I'm sure.
Adding music would like sometimes take away the tone, or something would be just really weird. I think like No Country for Old Men, there's no music throughout that whole movie. There's no soundtrack or anything. And I feel like it kind of take away from like the grittiness and like this ingrained view in the movie if it had like a score.
Fair.
Since it was supposed to be so like throwing you in there.
You have anything else for us, Isaiah?
I do. All the major studios were invited to the premiere, include Columbia, Fox, all those people. None of them showed up.
I was about to say I would be surprised if they did. So
none of them showed up, and therefore they decided to distribute the movie themselves. So the movie was distributed from theater to theater, town to town, city to city. It then had a limited release in Kansas City to a box office bomb. The first day, it did nothing. Like it was abysmal. I think the producers waiting on the phone, they only made like $300. That was about it.
Yikes.
Wow.
But then each day afterwards, the tickets then compounded. So the tickets then doubled. And then the next day would triple. Then the next day would quadruple. And it kept on doing it until it became a nationwide sensation.
good for him. Because to go from an indie project to something so iconic, that is a very difficult thing to do. Especially with, like you said, that low of a budget and that little of time.
Yeah, this was these guys were all living the indie movie life.
Gotta love it.
Now, its original release, it made in its original release, like as it like going to the box office. This is not including like the re-releases or the revenue made from DVDs or VHSs. None of that. The original release of the movie in theaters and all that stuff worldwide became $70 million and was the most profitable independent film release at the time.
Jesus, that's a lot of money
Now
for that time.
That is a lot of money. Now, John Carpenter, he had actually made a deal that he had that he would do the movie if he had full creative control, and he got 10% of the profits.
Damn.
So he's made 10%. No, even after the movies that he wasn't a part of, because they made like 20 of them, and he only stopped after like the first 3. So all the money that the franchise has made over the years, he gets 10% of all of it.
Wow.
Okay, I see you.
And then years later, many sequels that Carpenter wasn't a part of, he was brought back to create 2 additional minutes of footage in order to have it fit a TV time slot. Because I guess the way the TV thing worked, they needed specifically 2 minutes for it to fit the time slot. So they brought him back to make 2 extra scenes. He kind of regrets that decision, and he is quoted saying, "I hoed out."
Oh my God. I kind of like this man.
Yeah, John Carpenter's a weird guy. He's funny though. And those are all my facts for today.
Thank you for your
Very
facts,
nice.
Isaiah.
Thank you.
Very, very good.
You're welcome.
I feel like out of all of the series we've covered so far, this is the one I know least about. Like with The Matrix, even though I hadn't seen it yet, I knew a lot of the facts and behind the scenes and stuff with it just because it was more recent. But this, I think, I am genuinely intrigued by everyone because they're all new to me. So no pressure, but don't fail next episode.
Oh, well, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. So now we go on to our movie review, and I would actually like to go first because I'm pretty sure I have the least to say about it.
Oh,
okay. Straight mid, the end.
Yeah, kind of, honestly. Out of all the slasher movies I've watched, Halloween, especially this version, is straight mid because a lot of the things, I know it's from like the 70s and it's, some of the stuff you see in horror movies is supposed to be silly. Like the way that Laurie is fighting back in some of the scenes is kind of like dumb. Like, oh, she stabbed him in the eye with a hanger. Like I never would have, what?
Mm-hmm.
But a personal gripe I take with the whole series, since we're only covering 4 out of the multiple films, is that they never really give a backstory as to how, well, they do in one of the film, in like the trilogy that's not really canon and is technically box office trash. But they don't really give a backstory as to how Michael really survives anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he wasn't born superhuman. He wasn't risen from the dead or something like that. He's just an angry, evil psychiatric patient, essentially. And I don't know whether that's
gets shot a bajillion times and somehow lives.
Yeah, and among a variety of other things that we'll see as we go. But yeah, or like he gets stabbed and shot and poked in the eye with a friggin' coat hanger, but he's fine.
The ultimate way to go.
Yeah, right. There's like a 10-foot drop after getting shot 6 times. But yeah, so movie's straight mid for me. And that's all I have to say.
Dan?
So that's a 3 out of 5?
Yeah, it's a 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5.
Okay. Isaiah, you want to go or you want me to go?
I will go because I also don't have a lot to say.
Okay.
I also agree with Lou. The movie is, I gave it a 3 out of 5 too. Now, I want to get one thing clear though. I do understand its historical significance and like what it started and the success it had and like why it was the way it was. So I'm not discrediting that, but from a movie standpoint, it does not hold up the test of time. I do think it's a little boring. It's a lot of just standing around, a lot of walking around. So there's not a lot going on, even by today's standards. Like, because I understand, like I'm used to now the movies from now where like things are happening every 15 seconds. Everybody's got ADHD. But even like by a normal movie standpoint, there's a lot of nothing that happens. It's a lot of walking around, a lot of standing. That's about it. So I feel like there should have been more for it to, I don't know, to justify its like mark on history. But hey, a lot of people like it. Kudos to them. The fact that they even got this movie made, despite all the challenges they had to endure, is pretty good. I'll give them that. But the end product, on its own merit, I feel just kind of fell a little flat for me. I was just like, okay, that happened. Just a few things, just a few notes I wrote down though. Obviously, theme is amazing. The fact that it came up in 3 days and it's so catchy, and like, he just kind of came up with that, freaking crazy. This just a weird moment of, oh, I spilled butter on myself. Let me just start stripping in someone's kitchen. I was like, what is up with that? Oh, that was weird.
Yeah.
The fact that like Loomis was hanging outside the house and all that stuff was happening like basically down the street, and he's been sitting outside the house, right, for like hours, because it's into like from the day into the night. He's just sitting there, and then just so happens to look to his left a little bit and just happens to see the car like 3 parking spots down. After everything goes down. And I'm like, you're telling me you've been sitting out here for 4 hours just staring at the house and didn't even dare look at the street at one point, and you didn't notice the car, and then even when everything starts going down, you don't even hear anything. All right. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
So I just thought that was weird. And that's about it. Those are my only notes I had about the movie. So
Okay. Well, you guys are both a lot nicer than I was. I gave it a 1.5.
Damn.
Wow.
I agree with Isaiah. For the time it came out, it was iconic. It's still iconic. It's a classic. It's definitely paved the way for a lot of future horror films. And again, the music
designed the formula that we have.
Yeah, and it also, the music itself is iconic. However, why did it have to play every 5 fucking seconds? It was to the point where like it felt like I started laughing when I would hear it, because it was just like, especially in the beginning. Towards the end it stopped, but like the first like 20 minutes of the film, that song plays way too much, to the point where I was just like finding it more comedic than, I guess, scary. But I digress. I liked to see young Jamie Lee Curtis. That was weird. That was a whole experience in its own. I've never seen her young.
Yeah, right.
I've only seen her in like Freaky Friday and fucking, what's the other one?
I don't know.
Knives Out.
Yes, thank you. Knives Out, where she's even older. And like to see her, I don't know how old she was when they filmed it, but to see her at such a young age was really weird. The movie didn't really get me in terms of scariness.
Fear factor.
But yeah, my spookometer was at a 0 the whole film. I think there's very few.
She was 19 turning 20 for fun fact.
She looked good. There's very few horror films that do scare me. However, I would say on average, I'm like at a 2 or a 3 when I watch most horror films. But this one was like negatives. This was rough. I think the scariest part of the film, it wasn't even scary. It was just like creepy. And I was like, damn, why couldn't they do that? Like, not incorporate it, but why couldn't they kind of give that tone throughout the whole film? For example, I will tell you exactly what I'm talking about. The scene where Michael Myers stabs Bob up against the wall and the knife goes through him and keeps him up on the wall. And then he just kind of lets go and he just stares at him. That to me was actually creepy. Everything else with him was kind of like not at all. But that was ooh.
I want to shout out the actor who played Bob, because he, the rest of his acting was subpar, but when he died, he sold that really well.
Did he?
No, I thought like from the drooping and then watching his feet go from like up to limp.
Oh, that part. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, like
I thought you meant the like choking noises.
No. I'm talking about the physical like appearance of him dying.
Yeah, I can agree. Which actually, I didn't write that down, but oh my God. Oh no, I did write that down. I wrote, nobody moans when they die, because every girl that died would like moan. And I was like, the fuck is this? This is making me uncomfortable. Like they're like trying too hard to sound sexy while they're dying.
Yeah.
Now, I think there was actually something I noticed. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but in the beginning of the movie, when Annie and whatever her friend's name, I forget her friend's name, are walking. Is it Annie? Is her name?
Annie was the curly haired one that died first. Yes.
Oh no, Jamie Lee Curtis. What's her character's name?
Laurie.
When Laurie, I think she was walking with Annie, are walking down the street in the beginning, and she's like, who's that? And then like Michael Myers is like standing behind the bush like a creep, and then he disappears. Like that whole sequence, I don't know if you guys notice, but the time of day just changes mid-scene. Like they go from like late afternoon to like super early in the morning. Like the sun is on the complete opposite side of
Did not
the
notice
scene.
that.
I had to rewind it because I was laughing so hard. I was like, okay, they just said fuck this. Like we're not going to even try for continuity here. It was so good.
There were a few moments like that. Like he jumped when they get the girl when what's her face gets into the house with Bob. And he just leaves his car door wide open, and he just goes out.
That's true. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that where it's just like, wait a minute, that wasn't like that just a second ago. But yeah, I think like obviously when it first came out, it was probably a lot different, and it probably had a huge impact. And I'm sure I know it did because it's still a huge hit today. But it just wasn't for me. It just wasn't my type of film. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have. So like a 1.5 for me. I'm hoping as we continue on and because we're doing a huge time jump. We're going from 1978 to 2018. So that's a huge,
that is
40-year time jump. So there's going to be a difference in cinematography. There's going to be a difference in hopefully acting. There's going to be a difference in lighting and story, and I'm hoping it's going to get better.
Yeah.
Now, just to reiterate why we are doing that, as the next episode, I'll explain this in the beginning of the next episode too. But the reason we're doing this is because they officially retconned the entire franchise, and they only said that the movies that are officially canon will be the original movie and the trilogy that they have been making for the last couple of years, which includes Halloween, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends. So that is why we're doing that, because they officially retconned everything except for these 4 movies. So that's why the next movie we'll be doing is Halloween.
We did fail to mention that in the beginning. I'll sign us out.
Sign us off.
Sign us out.
Well, thank you, everyone, for listening to today's episode. Again, we apologize for not posting our listeners' episode last week. We do hope that those who live in the Florida area are safe from Hurricane Ian. I know I dodged a bullet because I live in the Tampa area. And
I dodged a bullet because I live in South Florida.
Yeah, Lewis and Isaiah also are. We're all marked safe on Facebook, so we hope you guys are too. We will be doing.
I'm glad Facebook says on. Oh my god.
Yeah. But we will be doing our listeners episode in November, and we'll be doing the films we were originally going to do last week. We're going to do those, but still send us more suggestions so we can start looking and picking for the next one. And you can send them in at silverscreensips@gmail.com. And you can also follow us on Instagram, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify at Silver Screen Sips. And don't forget Twitter at Silver Screen Sip with no S. Again, thank you for our sponsor today, Shaker and Spoon, for sponsoring this episode. We'll see you in next week's episode where we will be watching Halloween in 2018, 40 years away.
And don't forget to hit up shakerandspoon.com. But remember to use SIPS10 for $10 off the first order.
Yes. Thank you, Lewis.
Hell yeah, brother.
Thanks for the input, Isaiah.